Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 60-Yard Dash. Eventually, we're going to change the name once we decide on one. We haven't decided on one yet, so we'll get there. Bear with us. New year, new show. Crazy stuff going on. With me tonight, as always, I have, with the guy walking behind him, in the Devontae Adams shirt, we have Austin Wilson.
What's up, guys?
Our draft expert, who can also talk about, the big leagues. Oh, yeah, I'm throwing shade at you already, Austin. All right, you want to call a timeout on the play?
Expert? Like singular? Oh, come on now. Come on now.
I got to start the show off with some fire. That's what I'm going with. We got Bryce here.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Just Bryce.
Just Bryce.
I don't get a title. That's all right.
He's just Bryce.
I mean, I would say we're the draft experts,
Yeah.
But
experts.
I specifically wanted to start off this show with shade at you. So
does that mean that we get to add a shameless plug-in for our draft podcast? It's going to be coming out in April. Or actually, soon.
Go ahead. Right now. Go ahead.
Me and Bryce will be having a show. We don't have a name or anything like that, but we will be doing in-depth draft prospect reviews. We're hoping to have interviews. We're going to do our mock drafts. And then, of course, me and Bryce are going to argue constantly over who we think should go where, what teams need what, and all of that. And we don't have a name for it yet, but it's going to be coming very, very soon.
All right. With that being said, I look forward to it. I know they look forward to it. Hopefully you're looking forward to it. But we had a wild Week 17 in the NFL, did we not, boys?
Oh, yeah.
So, real quick, we're going to start off this show with something a little bit new. I'm going to run through with a one-line sentence, or maybe two lines, depending on the game, how important it was, on every single game. And we're going to do this from now on, and we're going to do this into the off-season. I'm going to one-line it all, or two. Make that very clear. It might be two, because I'm a long-winded person, as you can clearly tell. But I think this is going to be fun. So we're going to start off right now with Bay leads the Buccaneers to their first 11-win season in a 44-27 mutilation of the Atlanta Falcons. Mutilation. The Giants take down the Cowboys and destroy any playoff hopes that they have in a 23-19 victory. And this is going to come into play later, boys. Remember that. Woo-hoo! In a battle of the worst defenses in the league, Kirk Cousins did his 405 yards and 3 touchdowns, barely squeaked past the roughest, toughest quarterback in the league, one known as Matty Stafford, in a thrilling 37-35 victory that didn't mean a damn thing. Round starters, although COVID is running wild through their building, just barely beat the second-string Steelers 24-22 to secure a playoff spot for the first time in 100 years. A long time in the go without playoffs, boys. 100 years. The Ravens set a franchise record this weekend with 404 total rushing yards to secure a wild card spot, win a 38-3 absolute humbling of the Cincinnati Bengals. How Zach Taylor still has a job today is beyond me. Cam Newton ends his one-year Patriots career with a meaningless victory over the Jets. The Buffalo Bills are all the way here, ready for the playoffs as they murder the Dolphins 56-26 and ruin any chance Miami had at the playoffs. The Seattle Seahawks had absolutely nothing to play for by the time they rolled around, and they almost took the L. 20 points in the fourth kept them alive and gave them the win 26-23. The Rams beat the Cardinals 18-7 to secure their playoff spot and get the Cardinals out of the playoffs. Secured their own wild card as by the time they were the only AFC team to play in the 4 o'clock hour that could secure a spot. They win, they're in. They lose, they're out. They won 28-14. Jonathan Taylor might be good at the football. 253 rushing yards and sets a new team record. The Titans clinched the AFC South for the first time in 12 years in a 41-38 victory over the Texans. Vegas beat Denver 33-31 in a thrilling game that had absolutely zero bearing on anything going forward except draft stock. and neither one of them is doing that well. The Chargers won their fourth straight 38-21 victory over the Chiefs, who sat some of their starters. Aaron Rodgers has clinched the MVP award, and the Packers clinched home field advantage for the NFC playoffs in a 35-16 win over the Bears. That game was a lot closer than it should have been until the third quarter, though. And boy, is it cold in Wisconsin. Rodgers doesn't get phased, and the NFC runs through the frozen tundra. The Saints beat the Panthers 33-7, but can't take home the number 1 seed due to the Magic Man Aaron Rodgers up in Green Bay. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, the Eagles. Boy, what a mess. Doug Peterson pulls his starting quarterback in the fourth quarter in favor of a third stringer on a Sunday night football game that was flexed to Sunday night because it was supposed to be interesting. So this is the last thing we all see to end the season, and Washington wins the NFC East because of this. Now, this is where we're going to just, guys, we need to talk about this dilemma. We'll call this one a dilemma. What the hell happened on Sunday Night Football game 256 to close out the regular season? Austin, we're going to start with you. All
right. So I've been a long-time supporter of Doug Peterson. I really liked what he was able to accomplish with Nick Foles. I just like him as a coach, and he played in Green Bay, so he's always been my guy. That being said, I think today Doug Peterson should have been fired, 100%, or yesterday actually. To say that you go out there and you tell your team that I'm trying to win this game, guys. We're trying to win this game, and you throw out a 6th-round pick, Nate Sudfeld. It's not like this guy's a rookie. It's not like this guy's a second-year player or somebody you signed under your practice squad that you knew nothing about. He's been on the Eagles organization for 4 years now. What did you need to know about Nate Sudfeld that you didn't already know, that you didn't see at practice for the last 4 years? There's nothing there. And to look your guys in the face and tell them that, I tried to win that game, you're a liar. I don't know if it came from the top. I don't know if the decision came from Howie Roseman. Regardless of the fact, I agree completely with what Giants head coach Joe Judge said about it. He disrespected the game of football by not playing a competitive game, especially in a game that actually held playoff implications. If it wasn't for, I feel bad for. I hate to say it, but I feel bad for the Dallas Cowboys. I hate the Dallas Cowboys, and I still feel bad for them because, had the Eagles actually beaten. Go ahead.
No. Giants, not Cowboys. Giants.
I'm sorry. Giants. I hate the whole move of it. It's a bad moral football move. I understand it from a logic standpoint. Maybe you're trying to get a higher draft pick. Maybe you're not sold on Hurts or Wentz, and you're going to try to bring in another quarterback into that mix. But from a football fan perspective, it's kind of disgusting.
Bryce, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. Can you guys hear me? I was having some trouble. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, Bryce.
All right. I mean, what else can you be said? It was a stupid move. Why bench the guy that's
Yep. It looks like we lost Bryce. We'll let him figure that out real quick. When I see him moving on the screen again, we'll go back to him.
Yeah.
So, the New York players are pissed. The New York fans are pissed.
Yeah.
I'm pissed. The NFL should be pissed. The sponsors should be pissed. ESPN should be pissed because that game got flexed into that position.
Yeah.
Which means they thought that game was going to mean something.
Yep.
And when you're only down by 3 going into the final quarter and you pull your starting quarterback,
it wasn't just pulling Jalen Hurts that was questionable. There was a point in the game. It was a fourth and 1, I believe, from like 10 yards outside they were in the red zone, and you go for it instead of taking the chip shot field goal when you're down by 3. It's just things that he was doing that made it seem like he wasn't doing his best to lose that game. And then you yank Hurts, who had accounted for all of their points at that point, for a third-string guy, like I said, that you knew everything about. If you yanked Hurts and threw Carson Wentz back in there, okay.
It makes a little bit more sense.
It makes a little bit more sense. Maybe you're the timeout on Carson Wentz is over. You're letting him out. You're going to let him try to finish the year on a good note since you know you're not going to the playoffs. And you're going to you see what you have in Jalen Hurts moving forward. You don't need to see anymore. That's fine. But don't tell me you were trying to win the game. Don't disrespect the game of football by trying to say that you were trying to win that game by throwing Nate Sudfeld in there.
Do you know what the biggest telltale of them not trying to win the game was? Ron Rivera walking up to Doug Peterson at the end of that game and saying, "Thank you."
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the guys who like Joe Judge was saying, you look at the sacrifices that players have had to make this year, being away from their families for months. Ron Rivera has coached this entire season while battling cancer. And he's had a competitive team every week, regardless of how terrible the Washington football team is. They're in the playoffs. And, for Doug Peterson to come out here and coach, in my opinion, a half-ass game, it's just disrespectful to the game of football. And I think he should have been fired for that and that alone.
Bryce, I'm going to take this one to you. Do you think there's any chance that Doug Peterson can ever get that locker room back, or do they have to restart all 52 and start over?
Yeah, you're going to have to. I mean, you've seen all the players coming out this week just saying it was a stupid decision. I think Jason Kelsey come out, a veteran guy that everyone in the locker room respects. Miles Sanders came out saying it was a stupid move. Everybody in the locker room is questioning him. So no, I don't think you need to just reset the clock. You got a young quarterback. Just reset it and start over.
Jay here from Ringside Roundup. I see why he struggles with that on the show so much. It's hard to say. Ringside Roundup. Catch it Mondays and or other days, depending on new schedules coming out later. Well said. In a year that has been super difficult for the whole football community, it was a slap in the face. Okay, if this happened randomly in Week 17, we wouldn't be talking about it nearly as much. Let's be completely honest about this. If they didn't flex it to Sunday Night Football as the season cap, the final game, then we wouldn't be talking about it. They could have put Browns Steelers in there. We could have taken Jets Patriots in that Sunday night slot, for crying out loud. It still would have been a better game than this.
Absolutely.
Straight up disrespect to the sport of football, and Doug Peterson should never see the field again. He shouldn't even be allowed in a stadium ever again.
I don't know about that one. I just don't think he should be the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles anymore. I think he's lost that locker room. Like Bryce said, I don't think there's a chance in hell that he can get that back. And you already ruined your relationship with one quarterback. Carson Wentz no longer wants to be in Philadelphia, despite multiple conflicting reports of, he wants to stay. Oh, no, he doesn't, whatever. But that's definitely not a good step in the right direction to have a good relationship with your new quarterback that you're so in love with that you decided to start him for the rest of the year. That definitely hurt Jalen Hurts, and I don't think he sees Dougie P the same way today.
That could have been a career-defining game for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
What Martin just said, what Doug Peterson did on Sunday was just disrespectful. Sadly, Philly is planning on bringing him back.
Yep.
Now, there's only two coaches that I think should have been fired that didn't get fired. Number one is Doug Peterson after that blatant disrespect of the game. Number two is Zach Taylor because he doesn't have it. He's not a good coach. Other than that, I think okay, why?
I disagree. If you look at Zach Taylor, he's got a bad team. He's got one of the worst teams in the league. And the one bright spot that he had this year was Joe Burrow. And when he did have a competent quarterback, he was in a lot of those games with Burrow. And then, you lose Joe Burrow with that horrific injury. And then you get guys in there like Brandon Allen and Ryan Finley. And even in some of those games, he was competitive. And they beat the Steelers. And
They beat the Steelers, yeah. They beat the Steelers with Ryan Finley.
I think his game plan was in games like that was exceptional. he's a solid. Yeah, absolutely. He's a solid coach. And I don't think you can fairly judge him until we see him, with at least 1 or 2 seasons of a healthy Joe Burrow.
Next year they're going to see their true colors. So,
I think Zach Taylor's an okay coach for right now. We got to wait on him.
Well, now we have to see how he drafts, because that entire team's going to just flip over again.
Yeah.
You got AJ Green walking out the door. The entire defense contracts run up pretty much, minus the younger guys. So they're going to have a lot of work to do there. And if he can't draft, which I don't think he can, he got Joe Burrow handed to him. Platter, T. Higgins, you couldn't go wrong in the wide receivers this year. Everybody else in that draft class was kind of bad. None of them were good.
What was the linebacker they got? Yeah, he's been pretty good.
Logan Wilson. Yeah.
Something Wilson. Yeah, he's been pretty solid.
He's been pretty solid.
And middle backer.
Yep.
So we'll see how the rest of it.
They sign a lot of contracts.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue.
I don't think that has much to do with Zach Taylor.
That's the big problem there. He signs too many.
I think the only reason Taylor's getting another year is because, one, it's Cincinnati and they don't fire anybody. They'd rather keep him on the books until the contract runs up. 2, it's also only year 1, and it does take 3 years to establish a true system in the NFL.
Agreed.
So, I believe there may be a conspiracy going on in Cleveland. There's a lot of COVID going on. There's a lot of COVID going around. Cleveland's getting absolutely manhandled by COVID. Stefanski cannot show up on Sunday. They're now without him. And with this conspiracy, okay, wait a minute. There can't be a conspiracy going on. The Patriots aren't in the playoffs.
Oh, stop it, Bryce. Don't be mad at your team.
Crying
11,
Patriots
10,
fans.
7 and I don't know. 7 and 9. Whatever. Yeah, it sucks for Cleveland. It definitely hurts their chances of beating the Steelers. They barely beat the Steelers when the Steelers weren't playing a lot of their, starters, no Big Ben. They threw Mason Rudolph in there, and that game was way closer than it should have been. But
TJ Watt was out.
I think this is a defining moment for Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
If Baker Mayfield can rally the troops, by himself, because whatever you think about Baker Mayfield, he is a leader in that locker room, and the Cleveland fans absolutely love him. And he's going to get his chance to prove if he's a legitimate NFL quarterback against a really good Steelers defense that, even with injuries, is very, very good and very well coached by Mike Tomlin. He's done a phenomenal job this year with the limitations that his offense has. They can't run the football. And Big Ben is he is what he is.
He's just better in presence than himself.
So I think that this team can go as far as Baker Mayfield can take them. And his receivers are healthy this year or this week. Losing Joel Bitonio sucks, but the offensive line is still very good. I think that they still have a pretty fair shot to beat Pittsburgh. It's just a matter of how is Baker going to play? How is he going to handle the Pittsburgh pass rush? We've seen in weeks past where, he gets some pressure in his face and he throws some interceptions or he makes some really ill-advised throws that get them off the field quickly. And we're just going to have to wait and see how Baker plays.
So, no Denzel Ward right now. Denzel Ward could potentially be back in time, but it is unlikely. Joel Benito. No Stefanski. Correll Hodge is on the list. I'm trying to get a list, but I can't find an actual list. Oliver Vernon was placed on the IR.
Oof, that hurts.
Cleveland has very few superstars left or great players. I mean, they obviously have Jarvis Landry. They obviously have their running game. As long as nothing happens in that running game, I think they stand a chance.
Yeah.
I think Denzel Ward definitely hurts the most. That secondary is already not good. They lost Grant Delpit at the start of the year. Greedy Williams is streaky at best. I don't even know who they got at free safety. I feel like that hurts the worst. I mean,
don't they have Sadeo?
Do they have?
I'm pretty sure it's
Yeah. Andrew Sendejo, yeah.
He's strong safety though, right? He played free safety.
They've got a bunch of safeties. They're just all hurt.
He goes back and forth. He was doing it in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, just anyway, the secondary is bad to begin with, and then you lose your number one corner. It's going to be a tough game for them to win. I don't have them winning it. I'd be shocked if they were able to pull it off.
In normal circumstances, I fully and firmly believe Cleveland would take this game, get their first playoff win in that 100 years of a playoff drought. Given everything we know, and I mean, you got to be realistic about this COVID situation. We're at day 5 or 6, and they're still having positive tests, which means up until game time, they're probably going to have more positive tests. They're going to lose more players. Also, they're not going to be able to practice in person this week. So they're not going to – everything's on Zoom for them. And then there's also the off chance, because that's the Saturday night game, Cap. And this is where the question mark on Denzel Ward comes in. If they flip the Saturday night and a Sunday night game, they would get Denzel Ward back. And it is being talked about within the league if tests keep coming back positive for tomorrow and Thursday, but it goes clean through Friday, Saturday, then they might flip the 2 games. It seems unlikely because of the logistics behind it, but realistically, any team would be ready for that.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks for Cleveland because I think they've really played well down the stretch this year. I mean, Baker in his last, I think, 8 or 9 games was like 15-2 or 16-2 or something like that. He's been phenomenal, which is weird because it's after they lost Odell Beckham, so he's kind of stopped having that number one guy in the field they have to force the ball to constantly. And Stefanski's been calling, great plays. I didn't know how well he was going to work out in Cleveland, but after seeing this year, I think they've definitely got their guy. It's just a matter of, like I said, if Baker can rise to the occasion, because we haven't really seen that other than that game against the Titans a couple weeks ago. That was kind of when Baker put the team on his back, and the jury's still out if he's able to do that on a consistent scale. So I'm excited for this game. I don't really like the Steelers, but I do like Baker Mayfield, and I hope that he's able to pull this one off because I think it's a defining career moment for him.
Bryce, any chance the Browns win this game with all this code running rampant?
Like you're talking about, if they flip the game to Sunday, maybe, but they don't have Denzel Ward. Which, I mean, it's not like, I mean, he's important, but I mean, still, the odds are stacked against him without him, or with him. If they come in without him, I don't see it. And I'm like Austin, I love Baker Mayfield. I don't necessarily like the Steelers. Growing up a Patriots fan, I'd love to see the Browns pull it off, but I don't see it happening.
So, and I'm going to go straight to Austin with this. I'm going to say one sentence. I'm going to let Austin take it away from here. It's this easy, guys. When you have a Packers fan and you're about to talk about Aaron Rodgers potentially winning the league MVP.
MVP. I'm not trying to hear any other arguments. No Josh Allen, no Derrick Henry, no Patrick Mahomes. MVP. It's over. Race is done. Number 1 in passer rating, number 1 in QBR, number 1 in touchdowns, number 1 in touchdown interception ratio, number 1 in adjusted yards per attempt. It's over. He's 37 years old. He's thrown 48 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. His team's 13-3 with a locked up 1 seed. Conversation over. MVP.
No, conversation not over. I mean, I think he's also up there on one of the weakest schedules in the league. Good running game, which Josh Allen does not have. The last 6 games, I don't know if you know, Buffalo's put up 39 points per game, and that is solely due to Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
I'm not saying case is closed. I mean, Rodgers still could pull it off, but to say that it's definitely over, I think that's crazy talk. I think that's bias coming from a guy wearing a Devontae Adams jersey.
His team is second. His team is second in points, and Devontae Adams with Aaron Rodgers broke the single season Packers touchdown record.
I mean, that's pretty easy playing on one of the weakest schedules in the league. All right, I think that should be taken to effect.
Whoa. use a team record as a metric for him being able to win the Super Bowl. Not win the Super Bowl, sorry, win the MVP. Jonathan Taylor just set their single game rushing record for the Colts. Should he be MVP? No, you sound ridiculous with that.
You talking to me or Austin? What are we talking about here?
Talking to Austin on that one.
Okay, I was about to say, I was just talking about strength of schedule.
Team records don't mean anything to anybody that isn't the team and or the team fans.
That's fine. Then we can go on stats alone. Like I just said, number 1 in touchdowns, number 1 in touchdown interception ratio, number 1 in QBR, number 1 in passer rating, number 1 in adjusted yards per attempt.
Yeah, it's pretty easy when you're playing Detroit, Minnesota, and Chicago 6 times.
Josh Allen's been playing hero ball all
Jets.
year.
He got to play the Jets twice. He got to play the depleted Patriots twice.
He's got a 10-5 Miami team in the division that
does he want to hop? Hold on. Does he want to hop in real quick? Because I hear him in the background.
Yeah, I know. He keeps.
It's just the only thing that irks me with Austin is that he's the biggest Packers fan. That's
I'm just right.
Then you got Aaron Jones, you got AJ Dillon, you got Jamal Williams. Josh Allen got carrying the ball. You got Devin Singletary and Zach Moss, who neither one would start on the Packers. Neither one would start on the Packers.
Yeah, that's the problem. When
let the smack it down.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you. It's over. It's over.
I'm going to get this back on track.
Josh Allen all of this. Josh Allen's 24.
I will mute you.
He's 24.
That's even better. The fact that he's doing it.
I mean, AJ Dillon just comes out of nowhere and rushes for 130 yards. Just out of fucking nowhere. So I don't want to hear it.
In all reality, the way the NFL is, Aaron Rodgers definitely is going to take home the MVP.
Damn right.
Do I believe he should take home the MVP? Yes. Also, yes.
I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. I'm just saying I hate when they say no argument. When somebody say it's over, no argument. I don't want to hear that.
Well, to me, when it ended is if you look the last 2 games of the season, and if you would say that Rodgers and Mahomes were neck and neck. I believe Mahomes had 8 touchdowns and 3 turnovers or something like that. And Rodgers was 8-0, 8-1.
I mean, who did he play? I know he played Chicago once. Chicago was the last game. He played again for them.
Chicago or Mahomes also threw 3 interceptions in one game, and then that was the week that Rodgers went into the frozen tundra in the middle of a snowstorm and threw 4 or 5 touchdown passes.
Oh yeah. Against a really good Titans team.
Our boy Martin also, actually, he's our universally, he can do anything we need him to show guy. This is great.
Thank you, Martin.
He's having a good time. We're having a good time. He's having a good time. That's all that matters. Also, Rodgers is the most deserving guy to win MVP. All right.
Yeah.
So we've established Aaron Rodgers going the MVP, but you can make the argument for Josh Allen. You can also substantially make an argument for Derrick Henry. But the only reason Henry doesn't get any recognition is because he's a running back. If this was the 90s, Derrick Henry, hands down, right now would be taking home the MVP over Aaron Rodgers. 100%.
I don't want to start nothing, but, you could throw Tom Brady in there too, 43 touchdowns. But, I know you guys both hate Tom Brady, so we'll lay off of that.
You can't throw Tom Brady in there because Tampa Bay still doesn't have an identity and they still don't know what they are. 43
touchdowns.
48 touchdowns.
Is that your only metric?
I don't really. I hadn't looked at any other stats. I don't know his passer rate or anything like that. I know he threw 43 touchdowns though.
That's the problem.
He also threw 13 interceptions, second in the league or something.
12 interceptions.
12 interceptions. 12. My bad. Either way more than Aaron Rodgers.
Double-digit interceptions.
I'm not saying he should win it, but he's a top 5 guy, I think.
No, he isn't. He's not even close to top 5. Alvin Kamara's ahead of him.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Get out of here with that.
Nowhere near the conversation.
Quarterback league. It's what we talk about. You just said it. It's a quarterback league. It's a quarterback league.
Quarterback league. You want to go quarterback league? Mahomes is still ahead of him.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, I wouldn't put Deshaun Watson.
Is ahead of Tom Brady.
got to be in the playoffs to be an MVP candidate.
He's number 1 in passing yards.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
That's a horrible metric too, Austin, because Jameis Winston was number 1 last year and had 5,000 yards. So let's calm down on that. So DeAndre here says, with Evans, Godwin, and Brown, he should.
Right. Thank you, DeAndre.
Yeah, like everybody hadn't written Antonio Brown off for the season started. I don't want to hear that either.
Bro, Antonio Brown off.
No one did.
Yeah, everybody did. Oh, he's crazy. He'll never be back in the league.
He was first signed.
Tom Brady stuck his hand out and pulled Antonio Brown out of the abyss and turned it back into a superstar.
No.
He still has Chris Evans and Chris Godwin and Mike Evans.
Hold on.
Chris Godwin hadn't played all year.
We don't know if he has Mike Evans.
And Chris Godwin hadn't played all year. I should know. I had him in fantasy. He let me down. He hadn't played all year.
Yeah, he has not played that good.
Back on track. We're heated about our MVP conversation. Tom Brady's nowhere in the top 5. Let's just back up that trade right there. Not even close.
Russell Wilson over Tom
like
Brady.
No, Russell Wilson fell apart second half season.
Russell Wilson won his division.
Okay, congratulations. He didn't have the fucking Rams.
He fell apart the second half of the season.
All right. So we're gonna get into the nitty-gritty of the trade rumors going into the offseason. And I just completely skipped one of our topics. My bad. We'll get back to it. I don't care. There's a lot of high-dollar players and high-value players that are going to be on the trade market this offseason. People like the Julio Jones, the J.J. Watt, the Matty Staffords. We know the cap is going down by, I think it's 11%. So if you have if you have little dead money, and little is subjective to what team you're talking about, but if you have little dead money, you're at risk of being cut and or traded. So we're going to start with quarterbacks real quick, and then we're going to get into everybody else because the quarterbacks are their own animal. Matty Stafford is getting traded no matter what. Matt Ryan could potentially get traded, but is very unlikely given the amount of dead cap space. He's owed $90 million guaranteed. Highly unlikely he gets traded. Woo. Jimmy Garoppolo is probably going to get cut.
Yeah.
Rivers is probably going to retire. Matty Stafford becomes the number 1 quarterback on the market this offseason. Where does he go? Bryce, we're going to start with you on this one.
Matty Stafford, I think the obvious fit would be New England.
Yep.
Get that guy somewhere in a system where he can, with a good coach, maybe they go out and draft a receiver in the first round, and that's worth 2 cents, and he can win a Super Bowl ring. I think everybody would love to see him get a ring.
Absolutely, but does Matt Stafford and that contract appeal to Bill Belichick? And I know the Patriots have $51.1 million.
They got. I think they're going to have a ton of cap room. I think it would. I mean, you see, they seen this year what not having a quarterback, a legit throwing quarterback, puts you at. I mean, they were pitiful. I mean, you could say they didn't have weapons to stretch the field, but they were not the same team without a decent quarterback. So if I'm Bill Belichick, I'm sucking it up. Go ahead.
Martin's predictions here. We got Carson Wentz to Indy, Stafford to New England.
Agreed.
Darnold to San Francisco. If the Jets take a quarterback, I'm not. So, okay. I think flop here a little bit. Carson Wentz to San Francisco, Matt Stafford to Indy, Sam Darnold to New England.
Okay, I got Sam Darnold staying in the Jets. The only teams I could see.
I totally agree.
Yeah, that's what I would do if I was the Jets GM, but I have a brain, so it's probably not what's going to happen. I see Matt Stafford going to New England. I could also see Jimmy Garoppolo going back to New England. I would really like to see Matt Ryan in San Francisco. Matt Ryan had his best year with Kyle Shanahan calling the plays in that West Coast offense. And if he could find his way to San Francisco, whatever mountains they would have to move as far as cap space or whatever to make that happen, I think
there's only one way that can happen. One way that can happen, and same thing that Carson Wentz might have to do to get out of Indy, and that's write a check to the previous team for the new team to just write him that he do, so they won't lose money. but they're basically paying the team back and then signing an instant signing bonus with the new team. And that's the only way that's going to work. It's a matter of the dead cap space because you can't get around dead cap no matter what you do with guaranteed money. The dead cap is the dead cap. Carson Wentz is obviously a lot less than Matt Ryan with that $90 million guaranteed.
Oof.
Matt Ryan isn't leaving Atlanta.
No.
Yeah, I still think they need a quarterback. They're going to hire a new coach. They're going to probably end up with a new GM. You need to get a guy in there that can change the culture, and Matt Ryan's kind of just become the face of mediocrity in Atlanta. I like Matt Ryan. I think, like I said, if he was in San Francisco, I think they're a contender. But they need a new face in Atlanta, and it's not Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan is another quarterback where in a different system, he probably wins a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say multiple Super Bowls because he did have a very great Falcons team. But he probably wins a Super Bowl with a coach that doesn't shit himself in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Definitely.
What about J.J. Watt? I'll go. Oh, okay. I'll start. I want J.J. Watt to come to Green Bay. That's what I want.
Everybody wants him to go to Green Bay. He's not going to go to Green Bay because they don't know how to make an actual trade.
I know it's not going to happen because we can't.
Send him to Pittsburgh to play with TJ and Derek, who I think is the fullback.
That would be pretty cool too.
And him and Cam Hayward on the same line would be insane.
Yeah.
I was going to say JJ going and joining TJ. And I have to assume Derek was probably DJ at some point and said, nah, I don't want to do DJ because, there's JJ, TJ already. So we're going to say DJ just to keep it, consistent. Having JJ, TJ, and DJ all on the same team, let's be real, every brother, trio, duo, whatever, they all want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
sick.
sick.
A lifelong dream.
That's the
I'd
ball.
like it not to be on Pittsburgh of all teams, but if it's going to happen, I'd love to see that defense actually play, and then obviously Derek the fullback.
What about Julio Jones?
I think he stays.
That's a tough one. Yeah. Who would want him? I mean, he's on the wrong side of 30. He's got a huge cap hit. In the last 2 years, he's become increasingly injury prone. So I don't know who would trade for him.
I think Baltimore would make a run for him.
I think it really depends on.
Think so?
I think Baltimore has recognized that they have like 3 or 4 of the exact same type of receiver. They have a bunch of little guys who can run after the catch, and they really just need somebody who can catch those contested passes. That's not Mark Andrews because you need somebody that's going to stimulate Lamar Jackson as a passer because you can't rush for 400 yards every week. You're not going to play the Bengals every week. So, they need something
Lamar
to –
Jackson, no matter who they put at wide receiver, Lamar Jackson still has to throw an accurate football to that receiver. That's the biggest problem.
Lamar Jackson does a very accurate football. He also gets a receiver that has a lot of drops.
But Andrews has drop problems too.
I don't know what your vendetta is against Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. And your love for Dak Prescott. You got to twist it.
All right. Well, okay. First things first. Let's back up the trade. We haven't talked about Dak Prescott in 3 or 4 months because he got injured. We'll talk about him when we need to talk about it.
Yeah. I'm glad we haven't been talking about it.
We have a couple of comments to catch up on real quick. Bryce may retire. Realistically, he's probably going to retire. Most definitely at this point. If Matt Ryan goes to San Francisco, it's going to be tough to win that division. No.
That's a tough division. I mean,
Matt Ryan and Jimmy Garoppolo are the same player. One's more injury prone, but they are the same.
Yeah, essentially they're the same.
So the division stays the same, really.
I have another guy who, I'd like to see him stay. But if the Jets really wanted to move off of Sam Darnold, I would love to see Sam Darnold find his way to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
He's like a perfect Big Ben, replacement.
And that would be a good culture for him to be in. He's a really laid back, quiet guy.
They seem to be very comfortable with Mason Rudolph, though. So quietly, Rudolph could become the future of that team.
Gross.
I don't buy it.
I mean, I don't agree with that. I don't like that idea for Pittsburgh. But
I'd rather see Duck Hodges than Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
well, he's not even on the team anymore. So
He's not?
Return.
Oh, well.
No.
Bring him back.
so we're gonna.
Oh,
No, go ahead.
we're all in agreement on Carson Wentz going to Indy, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It just makes
Stafford
sense.
either to New England or San Francisco.
Yep.
Jameis Winston, he's gonna be on the market again. Does he get a job? Does he go anywhere?
I think he stays in New Orleans.
Yeah, he's got to stay in New Orleans, especially with Breeze retiring. I mean, this is instantly a job you can compete for. He should be able to beat out Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
Andy
And they're not
Dalton.
going to have a crack at a top quarterback prospect. So, you're bringing in Brock Purdy. He's not going to be a day one starter. So,
Yeah.
they definitely need to keep Jameis.
Andy Dalton.
He gets another job.
He definitely is.
I think he gets a starting job.
Outside
No.
that last game, he was pretty good with his stint in Dallas.
I think he gets a backup role, but he definitely gets another job. I think Andy Dalton's going to become like the next Ryan Fitzpatrick type player where he's just kind of going to float around to teams that need him.
What's the odds Dallas pays him? Let Stack walk. Austin, I'm not talking to Jake. Jake's will say
I
it's
think-
ridiculous.
No. I think right now the odds of Dallas letting Dak walk are the highest they've ever been.
Because Dak
Yeah.
holds all the leverage in negotiation now. So the only leverage that Dallas has is that we can cut you and just be like, okay, we're done.
Byron don't like that.
100% if Dallas cuts Dak Prescott, he's going to New England.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Hmm.
They have the money to pay him and the draft capital to surround him.
Would the Bears make a run at him?
I don't think he'd be. Well, I don't think he
Yeah,
fits in
Jim
either of
Foles.
those.
I think New
With-
England's got a lot of-
I don't think he's a cold weather quarterback. He doesn't have the arm.
Well, no, he's definitely not a cold weather quarterback. But
Yeah, he's not. He definitely can't play in Chicago.
Let's get you Thompson.
oh yeah, speaking of, what about Mitch Trubisky?
He needs a new
I think
Somebody
he's out
give
of
him-
Chicago, but he's going to be a backup. I watch him go to Philly to be Jalen Hurts' backup.
No,
You don't think he's going to fight for a starting job?
he's
What
gonna.
about
No,
you?
he is. He's gonna
Yeah,
fight for.
Well, Andy Dalton
Speaking
said
of
he's going to
that-
fight for a starting job, and we already just established he's not getting a starting job.
Let's circle back.
That starting
I'd like
job.
to see. I'd like to see Mitch in San Francisco. I think that's a good fit.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a great arm, so he'll be out there in the warm weather. It's a heavy run system where he doesn't have to make a lot of big throws. I hadn't even thought about that. That'd be a
Really
good
good
fit.
at tight end sets too, so yeah, that definitely helps.
My mom's the best.
What she said.
She said, Mitch,
Mr. McDonald's.
McDonald's, nice.
Oh, I love it. Jimmy G, where does he end up?
I say New England.
unemployed.
No way. You can't do it.
No. Jimmy Garoppolo will get a backup role somewhere else.
No way a backup role. I cannot.
Yeah,
I don't think.
If it's not New England, I can't think of another situation outside New England.
See,
It
that,
goes
how-
to-
how-
If he's willing to take a backup role, I
That's the
definitely
problem.
think. Yeah, that is a big problem. I definitely think somebody like Miami is on the table for Jimmy. Just a 1 year backup for Tua.
Yeah, because I don't know how sold they are on Tua. I don't know how sold
He
I
hasn't
am.
looked
They don't
great.
seem sold on him at all.
They're very
No, he doesn't.
slow.
He hasn't looked great.
Stop pacing and actually joining you because he's going in and out of being able to hear it.
What about somebody like
I
Adam
wasn't gonna
Thielen?
say anything.
Adam Thielen.
Yep.
He's in not Miami, Minnesota for his career. He loves that city. He will
Yeah, I
keep
think he's
taking
only got-
pay cuts to stay in that city.
He's only got 2 or 3 years left, and he's already 29. I'm pretty sure he'll retire when that contract runs up.
Odell Beckham Jr.
He's out of Cleveland.
New England. New England.
I could see that. They're going.
I could
They
see him going to-
they got to see now that they got to have somebody that can stretch the field.
Either
I could-
New England or San Francisco.
Yeah,
Either one of those would work.
some wide receiver help too. Although I like Ayuk and Samuel a lot.
What about Harrison
Yeah.
Smith?
All right, well, let's get into Super Wild Card Weekend.
Well,
hate
let's
that.
back up. Let's back up the train. We
Oh,
forgot,
I'm sorry. Who'd we
forgot
forget?
one topic. J.J. Watt apologizing to Deshaun Watson for wasting a year of his career. What are your thoughts on this? This is an interesting
saddest
one.
thing I've ever heard. It's the saddest thing I've ever heard. I watched the clip earlier where JJ walks up to Deshaun Watson and he's like, "I'm sorry, we wasted one of your years." It's the saddest thing. I wanted to cry. Bill O'Brien ruined the Houston Texans. Traded away DeAndre Hopkins. Traded away I almost said Tyrann Mathieu. Traded away Jadeveon Clowney. And then ruined all chances.
That was a dope.
Yeah, traded away all chances of J.J. Watt ever winning a Super Bowl in the city that he loves so much.
J.J. Watt's thrown some, not even shade. He's just straight up come after that organization this year. And like I said, the city loves so much.
Well, I was going to say, he turned on the organization real fucking quick.
It's not even shade. He is just coming out like, hey, you guys need to get it together.
He's shooting the cannons at the management of the Houston Texans.
As he should be.
Absolutely. Yeah. And he's basically forcing his way out. That's what it really is.
Yeah, he wants out.
He's putting them in a situation where he doesn't want to go to Green Bay. Cut it out. Did you know, I learned this today, there's 29 current NFL players that live in the state of Wisconsin? No, I just said that to you.
That seems a little high. That state sounds kind of sucky, but whatever.
Whoa!
There's some good players from Wisconsin.
Hey, you got against Wisconsin, man.
I don't know. The Packers is cold. That's all I really need.
The two best things about it.
Okay, let's back up the train. I haven't been able to see the road 100 feet in front of me for like 6 days now. We got a lot of fun.
That's another thing. Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to get into Super Wild Card Weekend.
Super Wild Card Weekend. I really hate that name. It's so cheesy.
It's like the Packers.
Because I feel like one of you is going to say yes.
No, we don't play on Wild
Card. Will you stop talking?
I'm sorry, Jake. I'm still fired up from the MVP debate. I'm just like going at Bryce.
So, I know one of you is going to say yes to this question. Who's watching the game on Nickelodeon?
Hell yeah.
I don't have cable, so I guess not.
Slime fest, dude.
Okay, now, real quick, on the business side of things in the NFL, this is a genius idea.
Yeah.
Nickelodeon broadcast for the younger audience with very Nickelodeon-like animations and a very broken down style of this is how you understand football. No, this is a great idea for the future of football and getting more fans invested.
I don't know.
However, I'm not going to watch that game.
The thought of it, just sitting here thinking about the Nickelodeon I grew up with, that's hilarious. That's a hilarious thought. Like a NFL splatting up on the screen, or you see some guy tear his ACL and then there's like a Nerf commercial afterwards. That's a hilarious thought.
Damn, kids are so soft nowadays.
It's just a hilarious thought, but okay, whatever. Go on what we're going to talk about.
All right, so
the bottom bowl.
If they do not do that at halftime,
they have to.
Yeah, they have to. This is their chance. They didn't do it this past Super Bowl. They have to do it this time.
Blow your chance. So.
No, it's the weekend, but yeah.
I thought it was SpongeBob.
What?
Start with the AFC. This guy, he's just walking around, pacing the room back and forth. He refuses to sit in front of the camera, though.
Sorry.
Buffalo Colts, what do we expect out of this game?
I expect a blowout.
On which way? On which side?
Buffalo. Buffalo's going to roll them. They're faster. They're more athletic at the perimeter. They have Stephon Diggs. Josh Allen's playing out of his mind, and the Colts have one way to win, and that's bludgeoning you with the run game. And the Bills are not going to get bludgeoned like it.
Their front seven is really good. Buffalo. I mean, I see that game getting ugly fast.
Kind of like Miami.
Yeah. That's same thing.
I think it's a fair thing to say Philip Rivers will turn the ball over multiple times.
we already talked about the Steelers and Browns and what we thought about that way early in the show. To recap, we all think the Browns are screwed unless they swap the games on Sunday and Saturday night because the Browns are running rampant with COVID. They couldn't keep it under control. They forgot that it takes all of us. So, Titans-Ravens.
I got the Ravens.
Yeah.
I think the Ravens are hot at the right time.
Titans. I definitely have the Titans in this game.
Yeah, I definitely have the Titans. I mean, not even Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill has played great this year. I think that's one of the underrated storylines of the Titans. I think he's like 33 touchdowns, 7 picks with 107 passer rate. Now, this is not the guy we remember in Miami. He's been playing out of his mind. So, no.
He's all of a sudden a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. I'd put him 7 in the top 10 list.
DeAndre's going with the Ravens. It's a revenge game from last year's playoffs.
I like DeAndre. DeAndre agrees with a lot of the things I say.
It's because you're both Packers fans.
There we go. Yeah, no, I'm taking the Ravens. I'm a big Lamar Jackson guy. I think they're getting hot at the right time. They're rolling with a lot of momentum right now. I don't care if it's the Bengals. I don't care if it's a JUCO team. When you rush for 400 and something yards on somebody, that's a statement win. And Tennessee, Green Bay kind of showed that you can run at them and you can beat them up with the run game. And if the Ravens take the same approach, I think it could get real ugly really quick for the Titans. So
that's the thing about the Titans is they can go down 28-0. Then all of a sudden the fourth quarter is 28-28. Yeah. So you can't count out the Titans at any point in the game, no matter what that score is.
They're very well. Well, it's crazy to say with Derrick Henry rushing for 2,000 yards, but they're pretty well balanced offense. They can stretch the field too.
AJ Brown and Corey Davis, Jonnu Smith. Yeah,
Jonnu Smith.
They're a team that if they're behind, they're not going to stop running the ball on you.
No.
You get a team that goes behind 2-3 touchdowns, and all they're doing is passing the ball. No, that's not how the Titans roll. Their offense is the same, no matter what the score is. They're running down your throat.
Yeah, they can get chunk plays with their run game with no problem. If you get a mismatch on a weak side run, and you see a linebacker that's a little off, Derrick Henry's going to blow right past him, and you'll get those 15, 20, 25-yard plays, and you can pick up those yards in chunks with their run game. So I agree, their game plan doesn't change no matter how much they're down. So it does make them a scary out, especially at home. But I think the Ravens have a lot to prove because they had such high expectations for this season. A lot of people were picking them to go undefeated or 15-1, 14-2, myself included. And they wound up 11-5. So to them, they're kind of disappointed in themselves, but I think they have a chip on their shoulder, and I think they can go into Tennessee and keep it close and go at them with their run game and, run with the play action and Lamar. So, Mark Andrews and Marquise Brown, and I think they can pull it off.
Just remember, the Titans' defense is way better than the Bengals' defense.
Yeah, no, it is. But I think if the Ravens' defense can make Ryan Tannehill uncomfortable, they have a chance.
All right, let's move to the NFC. Austin's favorite game on Nickelodeon.
Oh, yeah.
And the Bears. This is going to
be allowed to be played.
This is going to be a shit show of a game. Like point blank. It's going to be great to watch. And
Drew Brees is going to be benched at halftime.
I might put on Nickelodeon just because it will be more entertaining than watching this game straight up. We're going to have Drew Brees versus Mitch Trubisky.
Being from Illinois, I'm friends with a lot of Bears fans. And I think it's hilarious that the first time that, they're really getting a chance in the playoffs, except for that one runaway season they had a couple years ago, it's going to be on Nickelodeon because their team is kind of a cartoon. It's kind of a joke.
I mean, so the game is also playing on CBS for the older adult audience. Let's make that very clear.
Well, no, all the Bears fans are going to watch it on Nickelodeon, but,
Oh, absolutely. Bears should have been done last week.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Mom.
I think we're all dancing around. The Saints have blew a couple playoff games in my time. I don't know about you guys. What if they do? What if they do lose to the Bears?
Okay, I don't know if they blew the games as much as the rest blew the games for them.
I mean, what about the Minnesota Miracle? Yeah, they blew that game.
Yeah, they
I'll give
definitely
you
blew
that
that
one.
game.
But you can say all you want. It will never come down to one play. But when the play is that blatantly obvious that the ref just missed it,
Yeah.
no, it came down to that one play, and the ref screwed the Saints 2 years in a row. But the Minnesota Miracle is a completely different story.
Yeah. You know, I think the Saints are minus 9.5 in that game, and that's just wow.
That's a big line, especially in a
That's a big line. Yeah,
that's a big line regular season. Like playoff football is a really big line.
yeah. That's just
I'm gonna have to say the Bears probably aren't gonna cover.
yeah.
Doubt it. Yeah.
I got it 31.
2 touchdown game. Yeah. Seahawks Rams. What do we expect out of the third time these teams meet this season?
Rams.
Yeah, I think the Rams are just kind of going to overwhelm Seattle's offensive line. Seattle's offense has not been good these last 2-3 weeks. Their defense has been nice, but their offense has been kind of horrible. Russell Wilson has not looked the same that he looked in the beginning of the year. And if he comes out and plays, I think he's averaged under 200 and something yards the last 3 weeks. If you come out and do that against the Rams, they'll destroy you because DK Metcalf's already going to be on an island. Jalen Ramsey's going to lock him up. So you have to work with Greg Olsen and Tyler Lockett, and they have a very good secondary in Los Angeles. And the Rams get them at home. So, I'm sorry, the Rams are on the road.
Seahawks are. Yeah, I was going to say Seahawks are at home.
And there's no fans in the stands, as far as I know. So that 12th man factor of being at Seattle is not there nearly as much. I definitely think the Rams are going to go in and just kind of out physical the Seahawks.
Yep.
I agree to a point. I do think the Seahawks are going to squeak out the victory, but I think the Rams are going to dominate most of the game. Because Seattle seems to win in the final seconds often. Or on the final drive, I should say.
Yeah.
Washington, Tampa. We got about a minute left of actual time. We're going to go a little over talking about this, but we're going to end it right after this. So what do we think about Washington and Tampa?
Football team all the way. 100%.
Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. The man who bludgeoned Green Bay early in the season. Yeah.
So realistically, this was definitely the worst possible matchup for Tom Brady specifically in the first round. The front seven, not even just the front four, the front seven of Washington, if they can put pressure on Brady early enough, you have Brady now shaken for the entire game.
It's in Washington, too.
Yes, but it's a matter of getting to Brady that quickly, that early. If they can't do it, if that first drive, they don't get to Brady at least once and get a good lick on him, Brady's going to run all over them and destroy them.
Yeah, the matchup I want to see is Tristan Wirfs, Chase Young, 2 rookies. And Tristan Wirfs has played like an all-pro this year. He's played really good. And, of course, Chase Young's a freak. It's a matchup I'm ready to see.
White is out. We don't know about Mike Evans yet.
Oof, that's a big loss.
I think Evans plays, but I think he's kind of like a decoy. He's got a hyperextended knee, so
yeah,
he does play. He's not gonna be.
They're gonna know about that, and they're obviously gonna know about that, and they can literally just single cover him. Don't really need to worry about the decoy on that, especially when you're at this point in the season and you know what they're doing. But with Mike Evans and the way that injury happened, he made it to the tunnel and then collapsed again and then had to get carted to the locker room. I don't see any way he plays.
Yeah, I don't think Mike Evans will be out on the field. The unsung thing I was just talking about was Washington's got a very good secondary too. You got guys like Kendall Fuller, Landon Collins. Is Landon Collins playing? Is he hurt? I think he's playing.
He's been playing.
They have a 7th round guy named Cameron Curl, who's a beast. So they have a very good defense all around, and they're well coached. Ron Rivera's been there before. He's been in the playoffs. I think I agree with Jake completely. It's the last team that Tampa wanted to see first up, especially because you have to go on the road to go play them in Washington. And Tom Brady, I don't know how many first playoff games that he's played in his career that were on the road.
And then on top of that, if they win this game, no matter what, not no matter what, but it's very likely they're going straight into Green Bay.
Yeah.
So it's a rough situation for Tampa Bay right now.
Yeah.
Well, we see how that happened earlier this year.
That was in Tampa. That was in Tampa. That was not in.
Yeah. Tom Brady's never played in cold weather.
I don't care about Tom Brady. I care about everybody else.
Exactly. I haven't seen Mike Evans play in cold weather all too often. Haven't seen
I've
John
seen
in cold weather.
I've seen Antonio Brown and Gronk in cold weather, though.
You have not seen Antonio Brown in cold weather.
He played in Pittsburgh. What you mean?
Pittsburgh's not even a far cry compared to New England and Green Bay.
Pittsburgh played in New England a few times in the playoffs. He's played in cold weather. That's ridiculous.
Wow. You mean those 3 times where Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell were faking injuries to get off the field? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good. Oh, Antonio Brown.
We'll see.
Magic.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Can't wait for him to fake an injury this weekend.
Damn, Jake from the top rope.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is all of our time. I got sassy at the end. We had a great episode. I had fun. I bet Austin had fun. Austin had a lot of fun. You can tell. He was into it tonight. Bryce, I hope you had fun. We will be back hopefully next week if these two point for shit here. These two don't have to work. I might just be back by myself. I'll do it for the playoffs. That's how important this is. What was that?
I said the whole show will be about Dak Prescott and how much you love him.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah?
And how much Lamar Jackson sucks.
Oh, yeah, you're muted now, Austin. So, thank you for joining us. Make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe on Twitch. Make sure you leave comments. Let us know what you thought. Guys, interact with us. We want your comments. We want to be able to respond to you because it makes us have more fun. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week to talk about. I'm hearing a really weird echo. Is that just me? Okay. I unmuted Austin and the echo went away. We'll be back next week to talk about Wild Card Weekend and anything else that may happen. Maybe some coaching vacancies that are getting filled. Have a good night, everybody.